want to finish up, try to finish up Parsha Shoftim today. We got a few more points to do that we had gotten to last time. And then we got Parsha's Kiseitse, which is also loaded. Let me just grab this here. Okay. Here we go. And we got to page Perek Yud Ches Pasuk Gimel. Last time, if you remember, we were speaking about the balance of the king. And then in Perek Yud Ches Pasuk Gimel. Page, anybody find it? What page it is?
1031.
1031. 1030. Okay, excellent. So here, the Torah starts talking about what the Kohanim are entitled to. And the Torah says like this. 3 lines from the top on page 1030. Parsha Shoftim, 10 lines, 3 lines from the top. Lo yiyeh la kohanim alevim, kol shevet Levi, chelek v'nachla im Yisrael. Shevet Levi does not get a portion. Ishei Hashem v'nachalaso yochelu. They are going to get the portion, the korbanos, and various other things that the kohanim get. V'nachala lo yiyeh lo b'kerev echav. Hashem is his portion. But since they don't have a portion, guess who's got to take care of them? So we started talking last time about giving the gifts to the Kohanim. Remember, we spoke about the Zroa and the L'chayim and the L'keva. That's the next pasuk. V'zeh yeh mishpat haKohanim meis ha'ameis kuzivcha azovcha azavach imshor imse v'nosan lakohen hazroa ve'alachayim ve'akeva. The forearm, the cheekbone, which includes the cheek, which includes the tongue, the keva, and the belly. That means, and we said last time, now my brother sent me an email because something I said last time was incorrect. I said it does not apply nowadays. It does apply nowadays, but they give it to various, like the companies give it to various kohanim. It seemed to, there's one kohen that the company gives them the rights to it. He probably buys it. They give him money in exchange for it. He buys it, or they buy it back off of him so they can market it. What's he going to do with it? But theoretically, the rule would be that in the time, if you ever shechted an animal, you have to give these, and we're not talking about korbanos now. Any animal that you shecht, if you want to have a backyard barbecue and you slaughter a cow, you have to give the what he called to the kohen, the zroa, l'chayim, and keva. That's what the halacha says. Now Rashi says something very interesting. Why these parts of the animal? How did the kohen earn the rights to get these parts? Page 1030. How did the kohen get the rights to these parts? So take a look at what do you call it? At Rashi. It's on the top column, top of 1030. Dorshe rishumos hayu omrim. Dorshe rishumos is a way of referring to people who darshan the Torah, Chazal, and they said the following: Zroa tachas yad. Now we mentioned this last time. The forearm of the animal is because of the yad. That Pinchas shenemar vayikach romach biyado. He took the spear in his hand. L'chayayim tachas tefillah. The l'chayayim, the cheekbone, is because of the tefillah. Shenemar vayamot Pinchas vayipalo. Pinchas said a tefillah. It says the pasuk in Tehillim that he davened. V'hakeva, the stomach, tachas ha'isha el kavasa, that he nailed the woman in her stomach area. So we had mentioned last time that the way HaKadosh Baruch Hu pays back is mida kedeged mida, and Pinchas earned something for future Kohanim because he was able to kill Cosby and Zimri. So that's what we had started talking about. And the essential, one of the ideas here is that you see that in a mitzvah, when you get rewarded, I think we started talking about this last time, you get rewarded not only for the mitzvah, you get rewarded for every aspect of the mitzvah. So if you help a little old lady carry the bags, so you get rewarded not only for the chesed that you've done, but you get rewarded for every step that you've taken. It's broken down into infinite components. A mitzvah could have many aspects of a mitzvah. There's actually a way you could do one avera in 10 seconds and rack up. You could do one thing for 10 seconds and rack up millions of averas. How's that for a brain teaser? Do one thing, takes you 10 seconds, and by doing it you get millions of averas. You know how? Such as There's a halacha that you're not allowed to cut yourself when somebody dies. That's that you're cutting yourself in memory of this person. And if you do, it's an avera, to defile your body, to mutilate your body. If a person would take a knife and says, I am cutting myself in memory of the 6 million who died during the Holocaust, and you cut yourself, you just did 6 million averas. How do you like that? How do you like that? So when it comes to a mitzvah, now remember I told you a story, did I mention this? I don't remember last time. Did I mention a story about the Vilna Gaon and his wife? Did I mention the Vilna Gaon's wife? I did mention that with the lady when they were collecting tzedakah. That every part of the mitzvah is another, it's not just one big mitzvah. That even a gesture that you make is also part of the mitzvah. Okay, in case you're wondering, I have a blue mark on my finger. This is just a reminder that we have to stop 10 minutes early today. I can't afford to forget it. I got to get to a very important meeting. Okay, now take a look at Perek Yud Ches Pasuk Hey. Then the Torah says, oh, by the way, one of the reasons the commentaries say also that the reason you get the forearm corresponds to the avoda that the Kohanim do in the Beis Hamikdash, the service. And service in the Beis Hamikdash is obviously done with the arm, right? With your hands, you're doing the avoda. So you get the arm of the animal, the tongue. The cheekbone with the tongue is because one of the things the Kohanim do is in the morning they do the Birkas Kohanim, the priestly blessing in the morning, which is done with the tongue. And the belly is because the Kohanim eat the korbanos when you bring certain sacrifices that you bring. The Kohanim eat the korbanos, and the person who brought the offering gains an atonement. So by the Kohanim eating them, they're doing you a favor. They eat it, and you get the atonement when you bring a korban chatos. And therefore, the Torah says, what do you call it? That you get the Torah says that you get they get the zroa, the lechayim, and the keva. So again, if you want to eat tongue, at the time if you want to eat tongue, it's going to cost you. Right? That's why I don't know if you like tongue, you don't like tongue, but it's going to cost you. And I think that if I'm not mistaken, I'm not positive about this now, but I think that the keva includes certain cuts of steak. I think is it the sirloin steak? I'm not sure which one it is. Is the sirloin from the hindquarters? I don't know what it is, but whatever it is, there's certain good cuts of meat in the bill also. So if you want meat, I suggest you either go to chicken or get ready to pay. That's what I suggest. That's what's going to happen. Okay. Now take a look in Pasuk Daled. There's something else that you have to give him. Reishis degoncha tiroshcha v'yitzorecha, reishis geis tzoncha titen lo. You give him the first of your grain, the various tithes that you have to give to the Kohanim and the Leviim, and there's also something called reishis hageis tzoncha. That's very interesting. When a person shears the sheep, so it depends. It's a seasonal thing. Depends how many sheep you shear at one point. There's a certain amount of wool you have to give to the Kohanim. Again, the Torah is very practical here because the Kohanim have to live. The Kohanim also have to survive. They don't own land. They weren't given portions. They're given cities to live in, but they weren't given portions of land like the Jewish people. So where are they going to get clothing from? So you give them wool. They're going to accumulate a certain amount of wool. The one benefit that you get is you get to choose which Kohen to give it to, which is why I try to treat you as nice as possible. We want to stay in your good graces over here because the Beis Hamikdash will probably be built pretty soon, Mirza Hashem. And I'd certainly hate to have you guys, bypass me for other Kohanim. So just keep in mind, I'm already stocking up on my freezers, to hold all that meat. So one of the things you have to give the Kohanim, I mean, honestly, I haven't been that bad, so one of the things you have to, the Leviim, now again, the Leviim live on 10%. They only get one thing, but it's a package. Because every time you harvest the field, think about this, every Jew who harvests the field then brings 10% of it goes to a Levi. Okay, they gotta live also. So one of the things you give the Kohanim is the wool. Now it's very interesting. Why do you give the wool to the Kohanim? How did the Kohanim earn? And you see that Hashem goes mida keneged mida. So somehow the Kohanim have earned the rights to the wool. Where did that come from? I saw a very interesting idea. When the Jewish people were in the desert, what did they do for laundry? What do you do about laundry?
Hand
Hmm?
washing.
Hand washing, huh? The Jewish woman's biggest, you know what? You know the moment of the year, what the biggest panic for a Jewish woman is? That right after Chol HaMoed. You know what happens if you're quiet, if you're real quiet, right at the end of Chol HaMoed, here Sukkot is coming up. And the very day, about 5 minutes at the end after Havdalah, at the end of Sukkot, if you're real quiet, you will hear one joint noise, which is from women turning on their washing machines, right? Because they haven't been able to do laundry for a week.
9 days.
Right? And the 9 days is the same thing. At the end, right at the end of Tisha B'Av, this week we were able to do it at night. Normally you can't do it till the next morning. This year, because Tisha B'Av is a nidcha, the minute Tisha B'Av ends, I'm expecting the electricity in Yerushalayim to just explode. I'm expecting a blackout. Because right at the end of Tisha B'Av, I mean, the women are basically standing there like this, you know. Right? That's what, because the 9 days is not laundry. So how did they launder it? I used to do that to my wife. You know, like at the end of Chol HaMoed, she'd put in the laundry. I say, I think the washing machine's making a funny sound. What? What? It was like, what? Anything but that. You know, tell me you sold the children, that's fine. Not the washing machine. Not that the washing machine's not working. And she can get mamish panicky. It's unbelievable. So what did they do about laundry in the desert? What did they do about laundry? What does the Medrash say they did about laundry? Don't you know the Medrash? You remember the Medrash?
They didn't need it.
Why?
Everything was clean.
The clouds, first of all, the clothing grew with them. They never had to go shopping. Took away the women's fun, right? They didn't have to go shopping because the clothing grew with them, number one. Number two, it says the clouds of glory washed and pressed their clothing. Why were the clouds of glory there? In whose merit were the clouds of glory there? Aaron HaKohen. You're the one in Aaron HaKohen. It was in your merit that they had clothing and they didn't have to do clothing and never had their clothing never wore out. Therefore, Mida Keneged Mida, you get the what do you call it? Then Mida Keneged Mida, you get the wool. That's what one of the commentary says. Okay, take a look at Pasuk Hey. Kivo Bacha. Why is this? Kivo Bacha Hashem Elokecha Mikol Shvatecha. For him, Hashem has chosen from all of your tribes, Lamod Lishares, to stand and serve B'Shem Hashem, in the name of Hashem, Hu Uvanav Kol Hayabim. The Kohanim are entitled to this because Hashem has chosen them to stand and serve in the name of Hashem. Now, Rashi here points out in Pasuk Hey, it's on the left column, Lamod Lishares, left column, 10 lines from the bottom. Mikan, from here we see, She'ein Sherus Ela Me'umad. You don't serve at the Beis HaMikdash unless you're standing. Because the Tosuk says to stand and serve. In the Beis HaMikdash they served standing. Everything was done standing up. No chairs in the Beis HaMikdash. There's no chairs. You didn't sit down anywhere. You stood and you did the service standing. Not only that, there are all sorts of halachas in the Beis HaMikdash. There's a Gemara that says there was a certain man who used to wrap, a Kohen, who wrapped silk around his hands. He didn't want to get it dirty with the blood in the Beis HaMikdash, which is against the halacha. And eventually he was arrested, and the king, he did something wrong, and the king ordered that his right hand should be cut off. And the non-Jewish king ordered that his right hand should be cut off, and he bribed the what do you call it, the court punishment guy, to do his left hand, not to cut off his right hand. So they cut off his left hand, and then the king found out about it, so he had him cut off the right hand anyway, so he lost both hands. Right? And that was Mida Keneged Mida because he degraded the service of the Beis HaMikdash by wrapping silk around his hands. I didn't want to get my hands dirty with the blood of the korbanos, and therefore that was his Mida Keneged Mida punishment. So one of the things you do, you stand up in the Beis HaMikdash. You don't sit down in the Beis HaMikdash. You also don't talk. Basically, there's no chit chat. Hey, Cohen, how you doing today? Right? There's no. Did you find a parking space? Was it easy to get in? No. You're in the Beis HaMikdash. You're in a very solemn. It's like being in a surgical theater. You're in a very solemn situation. You're serving HaKadosh Baruch Hu. It's not like a little chat. Hey, you know how the Mets do last night? None of that. You're in a very, very solemn and serious state of mind. One of the things you do is you stand. does he stand? If you sit, it's invalid. The service done sitting down is invalid. Can't shech the animals, you can't sprinkle the blood, invalid. Why? What does standing represent? What's the difference between standing and sitting? The answer is obviously, standing shows enthusiasm. It shows that you're eager to do it. Do you know that if I'm not mistaken, I want to show you something, a very beautiful thought. If I'm not mistaken, in America, where they have in the supermarkets, they have the checkout people, checkout girls, right? Now I guess nowadays you can't say that. Chas v'shalom, not a checkout girl, there's the checkout people, the checkout female type people, right? You can't say girls now because nobody's a gender. Everybody's just the checkout genders, right? So the what do you call it? They have. I think the law in America is they stand. They stand when the checkout people are standing. When the picture a supermarket, I don't know where are you from in New York? What are the supermarket chains in New York?
Stop and Shop.
What's it called?
Stop and Shop.
Stop and Shop, Kroger's, and all these things. Are they Costco? Are they sitting or standing? They're always standing. You know why? You're more efficient when you're standing. You know where they sit? In Israel. In Israel, you walk over to the checkout, they're sitting. Isn't that true? They're always sitting and they're talking on their phone, and they'll do you a favor once in a while and check you out. Right? Once in a while, if you don't interrupt them for too badly, so they'll check you out. In America, they're standing, because standing is more efficient. It represents a certain energy and enthusiasm in Avodas Hashem. When we talk about Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha, serve Hashem with joy. This is one of the most mistaken concepts. People think serve Hashem with joy means you get up put a trampoline on a car with loud music and you jump up and down. That's not serving Hashem with joy. Serving Hashem with joy means you are eager and enthusiastic. And when a person is energized in Avodas Hashem, you're not dragging your feet. You're doing the job properly. You go about doing whatever you're doing in Avodas Hashem. When you go to learn Torah, or you go to do a chesed to help somebody out, or you go to daven, you do it with the same enthusiasm as you're on your way to play a basketball game. You do it with the same enthusiasm on your way to go see a movie. That's Ivdu es Hashem b'simcha. Simcha means you're doing it with energy. You're doing it with enthusiasm. Now, very interesting. We started saying...
That's in Spanish.
That's in Spanish. Well, that's not part of it's Hebrew. Let's see. Make my day. Oh, Amarasa Hashem. Oh. Cuenda de acuestos. Oh, good. What did I say? No, I didn't mean it. So we say every day after Dowdy, we start saying, in Ashkenazi minhag, we say it morning and night. In Elul, we say, Dovid Hashem Ori V'ishi. A very beautiful Psalm 29. Beautiful, beautiful Tehillim, where we say this in the month of Elul. And it's interesting because we say, Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li. Right? That's in Elul. It stands for Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li. L'Dodi means my beloved one. Ani L'Dodi V'Dodi Li. And in L'David Hashem Ori, which we say at the end of Spanish davening, so it says like this. Don't you say? Do you say Nisach Sfard say it? David?
Nisach Sfard says it,
Shachar the Mincha. Okay, so we say it. Where is it here? We say it. Here it is. Okay. So one of the things we say here is, and this you have to know about Elul first of all. You know, again, Elul, you probably heard a lot about Elul, Rosh Hashanah. You know, people's attitude sometimes when you get going towards Rosh Hashanah, you know, okay, boom, you know, we're gonna get zapped, you know, and that's like, oh no, we're gonna roast, you know, the devil with a pitchfork. Yes and no, we say, Elul, Aleph, Lamed, Vav, Lamed stands for Ani, L'Dodi, V'Dodi Li, right? You've heard that. I am dedicated to my beloved one to me. So I heard somebody explain to me, why is it that we say Ani L'Dodi? Why don't we say Ani L'Avi? A dod in Hebrew is an uncle, right? A dod is an uncle. Why do we say Ani L'Dodi? Why don't we say Ani L'Avi? Hashem's our father, right? The answer is that a father, sometimes it's kind of, you know, father has to do the disciplining. An uncle doesn't discipline you. An uncle gives you a ride on his motorcycle. That's what an uncle's for, right? That's what uncles are for. They give you a ride. Once in a while, they buy you something. Uncles don't discipline you. It depends on how old the uncle is, right? Takes you to the amusement park, right? Puts you on all those rides that your mother doesn't really want you to be on, Right? That's what an uncle is. A father is a little, his father sometimes has to crack the whip a little bit. Your father has to discipline you a little bit. Ani l'dodi v'dodi. We have to know that the relationship going into Elul, going into Rosh Hashanah, Hashem loves us. Hashem loves us. We have to behave. We have to cooperate. But it's not like, okay, hope he doesn't strike too hard. This almost, I hate to say it, almost like a Christian idea that he's just got the oven open with the pitchfork. He's just waiting to toss us in, right? That's not the relationship. That's an immature way to approach it. In the Dovid Hashem, Ori Vish, Hashem is my light, Hashem is my deliverer, I have nothing to fear. A very beautiful tefillah. One of the things he says here is, right towards the end, he says, not towards the end, sorry. Where is it? No. Oh, not towards the end at all, so towards the beginning. It says, Achas shalti me'es Hashem osa avakesh. There's one thing that I ask. Now listen carefully. Shivti beveis Hashem kol yemei chayai. I want to dwell in the house of God my entire life. Lachazos v'noam Hashem, to gaze on the beauty of Hashem. Ulevakir beheicholo, and to visit in His sanctuary. Now, I once heard, and it's a very, very common, a very well-known idea, there seems to be a contradiction in this pasuk. Because first it says, I want to dwell in the house of Hashem my entire life. And the end of the pasuk is, I want to visit in His sanctuary. Well, make up your mind. You want to dwell there or you want to visit there? Which one do you want? Dwelling means you're there permanently. Visiting means you come in once in a while. So which one is it? Is it dwelling there or is it visiting there? Right? And it's in one pasuk. I want to dwell there and I want to visit there. And make up your mind. So I heard a beautiful, beautiful explanation, and it just relates to what we're saying over here. If you ever want to see there's an interesting phenomenon. Did you ever go to Florida? Any of you ever been to Florida? You live there or you visit there? How was it?
I personally didn't like it.
You didn't like it. I was kind of hot.
It's Orlando.
Okay. Too muggy. Okay, that could happen. Did you? My son just came back. My son and daughter, they went to Vienna. They went to Vienna over for vacation. That was great. They were there for less than a week, obviously, but they said it was great. What about the people in Vienna?
Austria?
Yeah, Vienna, Austria. What did they do when they go? Did they go just stay in Vienna? If a little is good, more is better. So the people in Vienna, when they want to go on vacation, they just stay in Vienna, right? No, they don't. What do? They go somewhere else, right? They go to Florida, or they go to Israel. Whatever it is, why? The answer is because when you live somewhere, you take it for granted. I live in Israel, and I've been here a long time. I can tell I see tourists on the street. They're like, falafel. They're like, wow. There's a sign that there's a kosher butcher shop. Whatever. Wow. There's the kotel. They're just, everything is so exciting. There's a gift shop over there. When I walk in, you just try to get out of there to get home as fast as possible. You're just not. Why? Because you become, it's true. You become conditioned to it. People who live, a guy who works in an ice cream parlor is yawning. No one else yawns in an ice cream parlor. Right? You walk in there, you'll never see anybody yawn when you're getting ice cream. The people don't yawn. People are like, ooh, look at all that whipped cream. But nobody. Who's yawning? The guy behind the counter. Yeah, you want more? Okay, here you go. Another scoop. He's tired. The guy. Why? Because it's him. It's no novelty. There's no excitement. We ask Hashem for two things. Number one, I want to dwell in the house of Hashem my entire life. I want to be involved in learning Torah, and I want to be involved in davening, and I want to do it my entire life. That's my place. That's my goal. That's my role in life. I want to do it all the time. On the other hand, I don't want it to become something that I take for granted and therefore I start yawning. Sometimes you walk into shul in the morning and next thing you know, or you open up a Gemara and the thing you open up, as soon as you open up a Gemara, you start yawning. You go to a shir and you're like, you try to keep your head up. And you go to the lunchroom and you're like, you're all pumped. Right? Why? So we asked Hashem, another two people arguing over a talus. two more people arguing over a half a talus, a whole talus, 3/4 of a talus. I mean, how much? I like taluses and as much as the next guy, but how much can you argue over it? Another migu, a migu here and a migu there, right? A chazaka, and another Rashi, and another Tosfos. The same stuff over and over. Nobody ever says the same stuff over and over. They read newspapers. Isn't it interesting? You read a newspaper. How do people, every day it's like, I don't know, who killed who in my city? Who killed who around the world? And then sports. Right now, this is serious. That's everybody. It's like a new adventure. It's a new adventure. That's what we're davening for. Shifti v'es Hashem kol yamecha. I want to be there my entire life, but ulevakir behecho. I wanted to feel like I'm visiting. Because when you're visiting, it's a novelty. When you're visiting, I want every day to be a new visit in shul. I want every day to be a visit when I learn Torah. I want every day to be a new visit when I'm raising my children, which is part of serving Hashem. I want every day to be a new visit when I make a bracha. Everything I do. By the way, just having said that, not to annoy people with brachas. It doesn't mean enthusiasm in davening. Doesn't mean bothering the guy on the bench next to you because you're davening too loud. Enthusiasm means internal excitement over what we're doing. The same way that when you're excited over eating a good piece of chicken, it's not like you do it out loud. Nobody eats their chicken out loud. Nobody eats their ice cream out loud. You just kind of really get focused and you do it with you do it with enthusiasm. That's what we're asking for in Dovid. That's what the Torah is saying here. You serve HaKadosh Baruch Hu standing up in the base of Mikdash. Standing up means you're energized, you're focused, and you're ready to go. Yud Ches Tes. Bottom page, 1030, last word. Ki ata ba el ha'aretz, asher Hashem lokecha nosein lach, lo silmad lasos kito'avas hagoyim ahem. When you come to the land of that Hashem is giving you, don't do like the abominations of the goyim. For example, lo yimotze becha ma'avir beno bito be'esh. They actually had a ritual where they moved their children through fire, which was called molech. And there are two opinions in the Gemara how this ritual worked. One opinion is that there are two pillars of fire, and they walked the child between the two pillars. There's another opinion that they actually burnt the child to death. And there's a medrash that says that the priests of Molech had a hollow metal statue idol of some sort. It was a hollow metal with a fire inside, so the metal became red hot. And then they would take the child who they were sacrificing, and they would lay him across the arms of this red hot idol, and he would burn to death on those arms, which apparently wasn't pleasant. And the priests of Molech, they were inside a cave of some sort, and the priests of Molech would sit at the entrance of the cave banging drums to drown out the screams of the child, to drown out the... Now, if you ever saw the movie The Ten Commandments, remember the old movie The Ten Commandments with Yul Brynner, right? Did you ever see that? You never saw The Ten Commandments on TV? Oh, come on, guys. Yeah, have you seen it? You ever saw it? So Yul Brynner, the Jew, Yul Brynner was Jewish, he plays Paro, and Charlton Heston, who was an anti-Semite, plays Moses. And so, one of the ironies of Hollywood. So they have one scene over there where they've got this idol where at the plague of the firstborns, when Pharaoh's son dies, he takes him and places him on this idol with his arms outstretched. Now, my suspicion is that whoever the Jewish writers were, I guess there were some ex-yeshiva guys who were helping them write the script, so they remembered some sort of medrash about Molech with the arms stretched out, so they just put it in like that. Same thing in The Wizard of Oz, by the way. How did they kill the witch? Water. Well, there's an R at the end, Steve. Water. They threw water. I'm melting, right? She's melting from the water. Do you know that the Gemara says that the way to ward off the effects of witchcraft is by water? The Gemara in Sanhedrin says that. You ward off the effects of witchcraft. So again, I assume there was some off the derech ex-yeshiva guy who was helping them write the script, and that was one of the things. He didn't remember anything about migus, but he remembered something about witches, right? Which is much more exciting. So he put that into the script. Be that as it may, it's a strange ritual. Which parents, according to that, again, the most accepted opinion is that they just took the child and walked him between two pillars of fire, then he came home. According to the opinion that the child actually died, what parents would do that? Why are they going to go kill a child for? What kind of sacrifice is that? So commentaries explain that in the ancient world they believed that if you gave up one child, one family member to God, so then, or to the gods, the god of Molech, whatever it is, so by you have appeased the gods and nothing else bad would happen. So you gave up one child. I assume that in all these idol worship rituals, whenever things like this happen, I assume that there's probably some kid who was some illegitimate child, which they wanted to take out of commission anyway, take him out of circulation, somebody before anybody found out that somebody had cheated. Same thing with witches. I assume, in the Salem witch trials where they would dunk a witch. You remember the Salem witch trials? You learn about that. They tied her. A girl was accused of being a witch. They tied her, strapped her to a log, and then dunked her in water. Then they applied keen Talmudic reasoning. So they would dunk her underwater for 10 minutes. So if she died, so she was a witch. If she didn't die, only a witch could survive 10 minutes underwater. So they dunked her for 20. Right? That was the what do you call it? So I suspect that this was a girl who probably some guy got her pregnant and they didn't want his wife to find out. They accused her of being a witch, get her taken out. I don't know for sure. It's not confirmed. That's what I suspect. Here, the Torah says, don't behave like these goyim and do their abominations. And what is it? Lo yimatze b'cha mavir b'no bito ba'esh, third line. Kosem kesamim, various forms of sorcery. Me'onenu menachesh, people who look for omens and all sorts of divinations, he translates it, umechashef, in witchcraft. V'chover chover, that's somebody who somehow gathers snakes together, also with, what do you call, I guess, like in India, you get those guys, they get the, whatever it is that they're doing, which is all rooted in idol worship and in witchcraft. V'shar lovi, you don't use bones and you contact the dead, all sorts, v'dore shel amesim, somebody, what they call necromancy. All these, what do you call it? All these weird behaviors. These are abominations. Says, look at Pasuk Yud Beis now. Ki tov as Hashem kol osei ela. These are abominations. Ubiglal tov osei lo Hashem lokecha morish osei mikvedecha. Because of these abominable behaviors, that's why Hashem is driving them out. Because of these abominable behaviors. So the question, we'll have to leave off with this, gentlemen. The question is, why in Pasuk Pasuk Tes, if you look back for a second, it says, Ki ata ba l'aretz Hashem, Hashem lokecha nosei lech lo sumad lasos ketov osa goyim ha'im. Don't do like the abominations of the goyim. And then again it repeats, tells us what the abominations are. And then it says again, Ki tov as Hashem kol osei. It seems a bit repetitive. It seems to repeat the idea of abominations. Why is there this repetitiveness in the Torah? Okay, we're going to stop here, gentlemen, because I have to go, and we'll continue with this tomorrow, Mr. Hashem. Thank you very much.